Howdy y'all, Christi here with Little Salty Homesteader. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today it is kind of gross outside, wet and cold and slowly getting colder. So what I wanted to talk about today is actually what I find to be the interesting varieties that I'm going to be planting in my 2025 spring and summer garden. This is a video that I like to do every year, and it's been interesting so far to see the plants that I am continuing to keep within the garden, and then the new varieties that I try to put in every year. This year I am putting a heavier focus onto hybrid varieties because I'm trying to boost production pretty significantly. But I still am going to include quite a few different unique varieties. That way I can make sure that not only is the garden functional, but it is also a beautiful place for me to be. Because harvesting tomatoes and peppers in the heat of July is kind of exhausting without something pretty to look at. So let's go ahead and get started with the list. The first kind of unique variety that I am going to be planting this year. I'm planting a series of dwarf and micro dwarf tomatoes. The first one is the micro Tom. Now, this isn't like super unique. You can get the seeds from several different locations, but it is unique to me because I have not attempted any of the micro dwarfs or dwarf tomato varieties. This one is also going to be a variety that I started for my daughter's Girl Scout troop so that they can earn their gardening badge. They're all going to get to plant their own micro Tom tomato with a marigold and a basil variety, kind of all together within one single container. So I wanted to put the same thing in my garden so that they could kind of see what their stuff will develop into. The next dwarf or micro dwarf variety that I think is pretty unique is going to be the Lil Peeps micro dwarf. So as you can see from the picture, it has kind of the pointed tip, kind of looks like a beak, hence the Lil Peeps name. The next variety, I couldn't really find a good picture for this one. This one is the Dwarf Rose Mallee or Dwarf Mallee Rose, depending on how Google presents the search results for you. You can see different pictures of the tomato itself, but I had a hard time finding like the plant. Now because this is dwarf, it will get 3 to 4 foot tall. So even though it's smaller than a regular tomato plant, it's still larger than what you would plant in like a green stalk or something like that, although I'm still gonna put it in my green stalk. We'll see what happens. But it looks really interesting. It's kind of fluted. It's not like perfectly round or anything, so it'll be really interesting to grow and kind of fun. The next variety is going to be the Dwarf Firebird Sweet. And as you can tell from the picture, that one is a variegated variety. I'm not really sure what the foliage looks like on that one. Again, it was another one I had a hard time finding the plant for, but I'm really excited to grow that one. I love growing variegated fruits and vegetables and flowers, so it'll be really cool to see that growing in the garden. It will also go into a green stalk, so it'll be interesting to see how wild that thing gets this spring and summer. And then the last variety is another micro dwarf, and this is the Fat Frog micro dwarf variety. And as you can see, that one is a green tomato, so it'll be really fun to go out onto the patio and harvest tomatoes from the green stalk for fresh eating and salsa and all the different things that I like to use tomatoes for. So really excited about those varieties. Most of those seeds I received from my friends Gary and Kelly down near Houston, so thank you so much for sending me those. I'm really excited to get those going in my garden. Now, I have 3 more kind of unique tomato varieties that I wanted to show you guys. If you've watched previous videos, then you'll know that we are a Star Wars fan household. Is that even worded correctly? Okay, our house loves, enjoys Star Wars. Not necessarily all of the Disney Plus series, although we do like Mandalorian, but some of the others haven't been, you know, super spectacular. But the tomato varieties are part of the Star Wars tomato series, or at least one of them is. I don't know if the other 2 are part of that same series, but they do have Star Wars names, so they are going to be planted all together in a Star Wars garden-esque space. So the 3 varieties are going to be Rebel Alliance, and this one is a cherry variety, and the next one is going to be Darth Mater. I really love the name of that one, and it is a paste variety. And then this last one is Rebel Starfighter Prime. Now I did grow this one in my 2024 garden, but the plant was a little wispy and kind of, I don't know, wimpy, I guess. I don't really have a good word to describe it. It wasn't as like robust and vigorous as some of the other tomato varieties, so I was really unsure about growing this one. But because I got the other 2 Star Wars tomato seeds, I decided to give this one a second chance. And the tomatoes themselves are really beautiful. They're a variegated Oxheart variety. So I wanted to give them a fair shot, even though I was a little disappointed in the 2024 results. So we'll see what happens this year. All right, so the next kind of list that I want to go through for the unique varieties that I'm going to be growing is actually for zinnias. Now, I love to grow zinnias every single year. They are an easy to grow flower that adds a lot of color and life to your garden spaces. They don't really have any like garden enemy, you know, as far as like companion planting things goes. So if you want to interplant zinnias within your garden spaces, you can. Now I will say that here in North Texas, they tend to suffer from powdery mildew really quickly. So what I'm going to do this year is I'm going to succession sow. So I'm going to get this round planted, wait about 6 weeks, get another set started, and then transplant those out, and so on and so forth until the end of the season. That way I kind of have continuous flowers. As some start to get sick with powdery mildew, I can rip them out and plant new ones and continue the cycle. That's my goal, that's my plan, but Christy gets busy and overwhelmed and forgets to do things. So I can tell you guys that that's what I'm going to do, all I want to, but at the end of the day, we'll see what happens. But okay, so there are some new to me varieties this year that are absolutely beautiful. The first one is the Ballerina. And as you can see, those are really lovely, really dainty pastel colors. They should add kind of some fanciness to the flower bed, because typically I have like really bright and bold colors in there. So I'm really excited to introduce those into the garden. So we'll see how they do. Those seeds came from Johnny Seeds, as well as the next 2 varieties. So the next one is Aurora. And as you can see from these are a little bit brighter, still kind of muted, but not technically pastel. They're still kind of bright colors, but not as, you know, neon as some of the other zinnia colors can be. And then the next new to me variety is the Cinderella Peach. And as you can tell from that variety, it has like the flower and then it has the center that kind of makes it more 3D looking. So I'm really excited to get that growing in there. And then of course, like I do every year, I am still gonna grow the Queen Lime series of zinnias. There's like several different color types within that series. The lime, the blush, the orange, the peach, whatever. I have all of those planted, started. They're all going over here on my grow rack with the tomatoes and peppers and other things. And then I am also going to be growing the Benary's Giant series. And as you can see, those are the super bright colors, the super bold, really fun. They get quite tall, so they make a perfect cut flower. Really excited about all of these varieties, and I can't wait until the flowers start blooming. I am sick of winter. All right, so back to the vegetable side of the world. For the interesting / unique pepper varieties, the first one is going to be Candy Cane Chocolate Cherry. Now I grew this one 2 years ago, but I did not have the greatest success with it. So I'm going to try again. The seeds are started, they look really healthy. So we will hope and pray that we get some beautiful peppers coming off the plants from those. As you can see, they're variegated and multicolored, so really exciting. They are a sweet pepper. Typically, I don't tend to like sweet peppers, but considering how many bell peppers I ended up using last year, I'm not too worried about these getting used and or eaten because I just found ways to utilize them, the bell peppers last year. Now, not necessarily unique, but it will add some interest into the garden. I am growing a whole rainbow of jalapenos, of course, just like last year and the year before. So lemon spice, pumpkin spice, orange spice, typical green jalapeno, and then the brown jalapeno. And then of course, as the green continues to grow and ripen, it becomes a red jalapeno. So the whole rainbow of jalapenos in terms of pepper gardening. These will be interspersed between the green stalk and my raised beds. I am trying to determine if it is worth growing peppers in the green stalk. So there will be some like varieties in both places, so I can do kind of a side-by-side-ish comparison to see if, you know, obviously the raised bed is going to do better, but let's see how much better and if I just need to move all my peppers into the raised beds from here on out. The next one will be planted within the Star Wars space within my garden, and it is the Jedi jalapeno. And it's probably kind of hard to tell from the picture there, but it is a larger jalapeno type, so it should be really good for like those cream cheese and bacon wrapped jalapenos that make like a really good appetizer if you want to stuff them with something. These should be perfect for that. They should also be perfect for pickling and preserving. So the next interesting variety of pepper that I am going to be growing, I have grown for several years in a row, and it is still a household favorite, and that is the Buena Mulata. So as you can see from the picture, the peppers grow purple, and then as they ripen, they kind of go through the whole sunset range of rainbow colors: peach, orange, red, deep red. They're beautiful. They're in the cayenne family, so they can be quite spunky, but they have a beautiful, lovely, fruity, yet spicy flavor. As I said, they have been a household favorite for several years, and I don't foresee us not growing them ever, probably. So that's kind of the end of the interesting peppers. Still going to be growing other pepper types, regular bell peppers, still growing the shishitos because we love those. Still going to be growing serranos and cayennes, and I have a peach Carolina Reaper plant started for my husband. He's brave, I'm not. And then some habanero. I am brave enough for the habanero, but not brave enough for the Reaper. No ma'am, no thank you. But everything else is pretty basic in terms of garden pepper stuff happening. Now for eggplant, in a previous video, I mentioned that I got the hybrid Thanos variety. That is the typical dark purple eggplant, similar to what you find in your grocery store. I'm hoping that that one will meet our needs for our eggplant pizza Fridays, but the other two varieties I'm growing for beauty's sake, and they look very similar, but I'm hoping that between the two of them, I will figure out at what size they need to be harvested for the best flavor. So the first one is the same one that I grew last year, and that is Listada de Giandia. I hope I said that correctly. I doubt it, but I tried my best, y'all. I tried my best. And then the other variety is going to be Shooting Stars. All right, in the world of herbs, basil, one of my favorite things to grow because it smells so delightful and you can put it in almost everything and it just makes things taste better. And the bees really love it once it starts to go to flower. There are 3 varieties this year that kind of meet the interesting requirements for me. The first one is going to be Purple Ball. Now this one is a dwarf variety, so it's going to stay kind of compact, and it is in like a ball shape, and the leaves are very, very tiny. So as you harvest the leaves, if you're going to use it fresh or dried or whatever, you don't even need to cut it up because the leaves are that small. This is going to replace purple ruffles for this year because I am out of purple ruffles basil seeds and I forgot to order more. Such is life. But this one is also one of the seed types that I'm starting for Lily's Girl Scout troop to be interplanted with the micro tom tomatoes. So you have the tiny tomato and the tiny basil growing together, and it'll be really cute. The next two varieties are have been favorites for many years, but they're still interesting and they're still beautiful. So the first one is Blue Spice. And this one is the most fragrant basil that I have grown in my garden in the entire time that I have been gardening. You can walk outside and you can smell it 5, 6, 8 feet away. If there's a good breeze going, maybe even 10 or 12 feet away. It is so fragrant. It has like a note of vanilla, so it's a little bit sweeter. It's excellent as a tea. The bees go bananas over the flowers. Okay, Blue Spice basil, probably my favorite one to grow because it makes my whole backyard smell amazing. And I have a dog, so you know, anything that can make that smell better is delightful. And then the next one is Cardinal Basil. So as you can see from the picture, the flower heads on this one are deep red, almost kind of purple. The bees really love this one as well. And the leaves themselves work really great for your typical basil usage for pizza, pasta, whatever you like to put your basil in. It is a pretty hard plant to kill, which is pretty convenient for me because sometimes I am a forgetful gardener. But again, this one has those beautiful flowers, the beautiful flower spikes. They work great in like a cut flower bouquet if you just need some sort of filler or something. They make the bees happy, they make the humans happy. So all around, Cardinal Basil is a great plant to have within your garden space. I'm almost done, I promise. Okay, so the next 3 varieties, these aren't typically seeds that I start indoors. They will be direct sown directly into my garden space, and I'm excited about these because all of these are new to me varieties this year. So the first one is going to be cucumber. I have grown cucumbers in the past, obviously, but these 2 varieties, because I'm adding the trellis space to 2 of my raised beds, I really wanted some climbing things on there, and I thought that these 2 cucumbers would be really cute and really cool growing on there. So the first one is Dragon's Egg. And then the second one is Silver Slicer. So from what I understand, Silver Slicer is going to be a little bit more heat tolerant than other green varieties of cucumber, and it gets really hot really quickly here in Texas. So I'm hoping that that is the case with these. Dragon's Egg, I don't think we're going to be pickling. We're going to be fresh eating those, probably putting them in salads and, you know, things like that. But the Silver Slicer, I'm hoping that if they don't get bitter too quickly, then I will be able to pickle those. If you guys are in North Texas and you have experience with those, please let me know how they have worked out for you. I have kind of been on the hunt for seeds for a few years, and I finally got some in a seed swap, so really excited to try those out. The next variety is going to be an okra variety, and if you have watched my channel for any length of time, you know that okra is one of my favorite things to grow and eat. In years past, I have grown green and red varieties. This year, I'm adding Okinawa Pink. And as you can see from the picture, it is a smooth variety. It looks like it might be slightly fuzzy, similar to the white velvet variety that I grow, and it has long, kind of thin finger-like pods, so I'm really excited about that one. If I can get the plants to be prolific enough, I hope to be able to pickle that. I don't expect the pink color to stay upon pickling, but I do like the smooth pods better for pickling than the ribbed ones. All right, and then the last variety is going to be a squash variety. I do need to research to see if this one will need to go onto the trellis or if it is a bush variety, but this is the Camo squash. I I received these seeds in a seed swap as well, and I thought that they looked super interesting. It looks like these are probably going to be a roasting variety of squash. Perhaps you can stuff it like similar to acorn squash. I'll try to find some recipes, figure out how to utilize it, but I thought it was really unique and interesting looking, so I was really excited to put it into my garden. Now, outside of those, what I find to be interesting and unique varieties, I will also be growing your typical herbs like dill, cilantro, thyme, oregano, parsley, things like that. I'm also going to be growing marigolds, medicinal herbs, nasturtiums, other flowers, other, typical run-of-the-mill garden vegetables. But because I'm putting so much focus on the hybrids in the garden this year, I did want to make sure to include these interesting varieties to add some beauty, some color, something to go out there and look at whenever, my work day is too stressful, or my kids are loud and obnoxious, or, adulting is just too difficult. It'll be nice to go out there into the garden, have pretty things to look at, beautiful things to eat, tasty things to eat, and cut flower bouquets to bring back into the house. But that is all I have for this 2025 edition of the unique and interesting varieties I'm going to be planting into my garden. If you liked today's video, please like, subscribe, comment, do all those different YouTube-y things. But until next time, go find a way to get those garden manicures, and y'all stay warm. It's gonna be cold. Bye.